I heard Celtic being described as world class. I heard Brendan Rodgers repeatedly describe being presented with some sort of structure that really impressed him and was very different to the structure and the network or whatever that Celtic had at their disposal, at their fingertips last time he was here. And for me and a lot of fans, it sounded great, but we didn't really understand what he was getting at. But yesterday, 24th of June, it has been revealed across the Twitter sphere in headline articles and podcasts and everywhere that Celtic are set to announce or have announced an official partnership with Admira Wacker. Now, Admira Wacker are 9-time Austrian League champions and find themselves in the second tier of Austrian football at the moment. And I think this is a huge move in development terms for the club, for how we can not only enhance the prospects of the talented youth that we've got coming through our ranks, also allow us to tap into different transfer markets as well as a few other bits and pieces. Now, I think one of the kind of understated facts about all of this is Celtic, for the last 10, 15 years or so, like to go in pre-season into Austria. And Austria and Belgium, for different reasons, have become real epicenters of European football at the south and the north of that main central body, as it were, of all the primary European powerhouse football nations and clubs. We've had great success going there in pre-season, and that's because of the climate, it's because of the atmosphere, and it's because of the obvious links that Celtic have been building with a partnership like this in the offing. There's a few things I need to bat away here, first of all. You might be thinking, first of all, the Austrian second division, we are surely not going to be buying players and pulling them out of there. Maybe we will. The Austrian second division, as well as a few other divisions in Europe that are used as these little hotbeds, they're almost like academy divisions, because there's a lot of Austrians that play there, but, they maybe make up like 50% of the squads. There's a lot of foreign talent that comes into these leagues to try and get their foothold in Europe, get first-team appearances, get some sort of notable playing career established, so they can then maybe hopefully go and forge a really promising career throughout Europe. So I definitely think this is a division that we can make good use out of pulling young talent out of. They might not always come from this Admira Wacker team, but because we've got those connections, any other players that come up in this division through any of the other teams, we will be much closer to identifying them and maybe even snapping them up. And when it comes to our own youth players, the Austrian second division has produced some elite talent over the last couple of years. As you know, Red Bull Salzburg run the Austrian First Division and have been a bit of a trailblazer in terms of this global football network that kind of exists. A few keystone clubs at the moment, us now being one of them, it seems. The C and CFG is now Celtic. And RB Salzburg, you might think, oh, well, they're the feeder team for Leipzig, but they have a feeder team and they are in the Austrian second division. They're called Liefering. You've probably never heard of them, but over the last 8 years, Salzburg have sent all of their main talents that you've probably heard of that then went on to Salzburg, did very well, and have progressed into the top divisions in Europe. Patson Daka, who was scoring goals in Champions League and Europa League and now plays at Leicester, started his career in the Red Bull group with Liefering. He Chan Huang, also at Wolves, really high prospect guy when he was at Salzburg, had a lot of suitors, also at Liefering. Two names that you're going to get to know a lot more over the coming years. Nicholas Seewald, who is now an Austrian international and the main midfielder in the current RB Salzburg team, played at Liefering in the Austrian second division, along with Benjamin Sesko, who, again, you might not have heard of, but is one of the main strikers at RB Salzburg, starts every game for Slovenia. And then there's been some other guys that you might have heard of as well. Dominik Soboslai, obviously pulling up trees at Leipzig, right at the top of that Red Bull pyramid, linked with big money moves all across Europe this summer. And Karim the Dream, Karim Adeyemi, made headlines for German national teams, German youth national teams, Salzburg in Champions League and Europa League, and is now at Borussia Dortmund. The developmental part of this deal all hinges on the talent of players that you've got and the coordination towards planning out their careers. You're going to sign with the club, we're going to loan you out to this team here, you're going to play 50, 70, 80% of matches for a season or two, then you'll come here for evaluation and we'll decide what to do based on your progress. That's how this works, and we need to be extra smart in the market, and that's what Rodgers was saying. Before it was confused and now it's very clear, we're going to go in and bully the sections of the market that we really can. And having an outlet like this at Admira Wacker gives us the potential not just to loan our own players out there for good development that we bring through our own ranks, maybe transfers we bring in that aren't quite mature enough to come into the team, as well as any other kind of extra chess moves that we make, you know, like sign a guy and loan him straight away to Admira, or, you know, whatever else might come of it. Another part of this that I find really interesting is it gives Celtic much more avenues into unearthing a wider variety of different types of players. You know, like I mentioned earlier, Austria and Belgium have become two real hubs in European football for lots of different players of lots of different backgrounds. Traditionally, it's always been Portugal with the South Americans coming over from Argentina and Brazil, into Benfica, Porto, these types of places. That still continues. But in these other countries, it is really everyone from anywhere in the world. We're obviously shopping quite a lot in Japan and Korea. We got a guy from America last year as well. And over the years, we have really shopped from the top and bottom of European football for all different sorts of players. And having another entity, having another kind of set of staff and another set of infrastructure in there that has their ear to the ground on some up-and-coming players that we might not even just be aware of in any way, shape or form, it's definitely another advantage in the transfer market that we need. We felt Ange Postecoglou gave us a bit of an advantage with his inside knowledge on a really rural league. This gives us the ability to do is get our own set of intel in that melting pot of European club network youth football. And the last thing I would say on this as well is I don't think this will be the last move. This is a great foothold for us to try and get into European football. But we do have unofficial partnerships, it feels like, with some clubs in the past, with the amount of business and commercial activity that's been done and been planned over the last couple of years. So I would be very surprised if we didn't see another couple of these partnerships be announced over the next 2 years. This is a real building of the castle, building of the fort move, and it's not going to be done overnight. This will be something that's been planned for a little while, and the club will now have forward planning steps to go on from here as well. Like with Alexandro Bernabei coming in, it was the first time a lot of Celtic fans realised, wow, we don't actually get that much South American talent, and there's not really any reason for it other than the fact that we probably don't have much knowledge of it in terms of the club and people on the ground and connections and networks and all that kind of thing. And as we know, with the revamped Champions League that'll be coming out soon, if we're going to be getting way more European exposure, more European group stage games, and we can continue to move on. Rodgers gave me eye contact and he said it will be the same standard of transfer business we've been doing over the last couple of years. Then it really does feel that Celtic are building a world-class infrastructure to rival all the other big networks that are in European football. And we're doing it from, you might say, a handicap position. We've not got multi-million-pound TV deals pouring in. We've not got a multi-billion organisation and like a Red Bull behind you or anything like that. You're doing it off the strength of the support. You're doing it off the strength of the hoops and the badge and everything the club stands for. And that's, you know, what Celtic is all about. So I love it that there's this organic partnership been formed, and I can't wait to see the next ones that kind of spring up from it as well. Let me know all your thoughts on this in the comment section down below. I hope you had a great weekend, and hail hail.